Title evidence. There are some things title insurance does not cover, and you should be aware of this. We don't cover comprehensive land use plans. We don't cover zoning and other land use restrictions. That's the biggest thing, okay? We do not cover zoning. So if the property isn't properly zoned, you don't have a claim. Title examination. The buyer has 5 days after the receipt of the title commitment to notify the seller of any defects in the title that may render it unmarketable. And then the seller has a 30-day cure period. I'm going to try to move along quickly here. 1031 exchange. It is not tax forgiveness, it is tax deferment, but the seller has to cooperate with the buyer and vice versa if either wish to enter into a 1031 exchange. The contract's not recordable. There's a reason the contract's not recordable. When you enter into a real estate sales contract, it bifurcates the title. The buyer has legal title, the seller has equitable title. And if you record the contract, it puts the world on notice that that title's been split. And if the deal falls through, the seller may have to file a quiet title action to remove the cloud from the title. I do want to point out real estate standard T. It says reserved. Let me back up. I think I missed time. I did. Let me go back to real estate standard F, right where you are, Chris. Calendar days shall be used in computing time periods. Time is of the essence of this contract. That's in bold letters. Other than time for acceptance and effective date is set forth in paragraph 3. Any time periods provided for or dates specified in this contract, whether pre-printed, handwritten, or typewritten, written, or inserted herein, shall end or occur on a Saturday, Sunday, or national holiday, shall extend to 5 p.m. Where the property is located of the next business day. So the time period ends on Sunday. It extends to 5 p.m. on Monday. But it's 5 p.m. What if the inspection period ends on a Wednesday? What time of day does the inspection period end? Exactly, Carrie. Who knows? Nobody knows because the contract doesn't say. I have literally been on the phone with 2 realtors screaming at each other, arguing whether or not the time period ends at 11:59 p.m. or 5 p.m. I don't know. I encourage realtors to use 5 p.m. That takes the argument out of it. Force majeure. COVID has not been a force majeure. Throughout the entire pandemic, services have been available. We've continued to do closings. They may have been in the parking lot. They may have been remotely online, but we've been doing closings. Banks have continued to loan money. The lights have remained on. All necessary services have been provided for. Real estate standard T is reserved. Real estate standard T used to define loan commitment. They removed the definition of loan commitment. They replaced the term in paragraph 8B with the term loan approval. They have not defined loan approval. I don't know whether loan approval means clear to close or if loan approval means there can be conditions. When I talked to the lawyer in Miami, he said, well, of course it can have conditions. I said, but of course your contract doesn't say that. It used to define loan commitment as the terms and conditions upon which a particular mortgage lender would make a loan to a particular mortgage buyer. Terms and conditions were there. Now that paragraph is simply reserved. The closing documents, you don't really need to worry about that. I am going to talk a little bit about FinCEN. The good news is we're not in the FinCEN geographic area. Again, stay out of Miami. So if closing occurs on a date when current year's millage is not fixed, but the current year's assessment is available, taxes will be prorated based on such assessment and prior year's millage. So this is a time of year where sometimes we have the current assessment, but we don't yet have the millage rate. So we'll take the current assessment and apply last year's millage rate. If there have been improvements on the property that were there as of January 1st of the taxable year that were not there on the prior year's taxes, the parties agreed to estimate the value, or what happens more often than not is the title company contacts the property appraiser and they'll give us an estimate. Chris, is there a question there?
Do you recommend for us to add a verbiage with regards of the time to indicate that will expire at 5 p.m. ? According to the Florida Realtors Hotline, it is 11:59 p.m.
And I'd like for them to show me where it says that in this contract, because I don't see it. And there's no case law on it. I've done the research. It's not in here. You can put verbiage in paragraph 20, certainly. Similarly, if you want time periods to end at 11:59, you can put it in paragraph 20. But short of that, I recommend using 5 p.m. Avoid the argument. And I love it when the Realtors Hotline makes statements like that. It's not in here. We just read the paragraph. Access to the property to conduct appraisals, inspections, and walkthroughs. Folks, the utilities have to remain on through the walkthrough. You can have them turned off that afternoon, but they have to be on for the walkthrough. That's another problem that we get all the time.